Hey guys, this is Tim with Total Insurance Marketing. Thanks for giving us a watch here today. This video is going over the burial insurance, final expense, cremation, funeral services, whatever insurance you want to call it. Goes by a ton of different names, generally categorized as simplified issue, whole life insurance that is designed for people between the ages of approximately 50 to 80. So real quickly, if you've made the decision to go into this marketplace because you relate to these people, or there's 10,000, baby boomers turning 65 every day, and it's a big market, maybe underserved in your area of the nation, or you feel like these are the folks that have the potential for really good things to happen to your career. Whatever your reason for going into this market, we want to congratulate you. It is a fantastic market and there is lots of opportunity. So you've definitely made a good decision. We want to help you understand some of the ins and the outs, and we want to help you get good at selling, prospecting, and really understanding the whole process for this. So real quickly, want to bring up a couple of topics for the final expense marketplace. Once you've made the decision that this is your market, that you want to work with these folks, and this is how you want to run your business, it's super important that you have done the 100 list that we've talked about in a previous video, reached out to friends and family and gotten some practice so you're good at least communicating this sort of stuff with folks. But then you've got to set up a systematic pipeline that gets you in front of people on a daily, weekly, monthly basis that's sustainable, that you can do years and years from now, that's going to continue to make you money, which is the whole point of running a business, is to be able to make it sustainable and profitable. So with that in mind, there are a couple of different ways that you can get in front of the final expense market. I'm going to go over lead generation with you, and then some of the other stuff that goes along with the final expense marketplace. And I'm going to try and do this in about 10 minutes here, so bear with me, and I apologize, I just went running, so I'm not wearing my usual suit and tie deal. And for this marketplace, it's okay to not wear your usual suit and tie. If you know you're going out to a wealthy neighborhood and meeting with some nice clients because they need this type of stuff too, and I'll get into why in just a minute, it's okay to wear casual, throw on polo and nice jeans and shoes. Or ladies, it's okay to wear business casual type of stuff out with these folks. You're going to meet some people that are, middle and lower class on this stuff too. So it's appropriate to dress down a little bit, so to speak. You want to have a little bit of a chameleon personality when you're doing this. So if you're going to the ghetto of whatever neighborhood you're in, that's okay. This is that marketplace too. Those folks definitely need help, and it's okay to dress down a little bit. On the opposite end of the spectrum, you'll find some people that are wealthy and that want you to dress up and be professional and go over all their options with them in a suit and tie. So kind of know your neighborhood, know the market, know the folks that you're going out to. I always like to have a little bit of a chameleon personality in what I'm wearing and how I speak and the language that I use depending on where I'm at. So try and understand your prospect on that sort of stuff. As far as the lead generation goes, I break it down into really about four categories, and some of them aren't super useful. There's still, in business cycles, there's different kind of areas. There's your cash cow that may be making a lot of cash now but isn't in growth mode, and you may find some at the beginning or end of their cycle as well. So that's kind of where some of these fit into the categories, and I'll let you decide where some of these are. But just to go over them with you, there are aged internet leads, which are terrific. They are, in my opinion, for the people that have gotten into the business, have a little bit more time, maybe not so much in financial resources, but willing to spend a couple of bucks more than just a cold call list, because that's going to get you a lot of wrong numbers, a lot of hangups, people that are never interested and didn't intend for you to call them. Aged internet leads are better because you're going to get more response rates, more people that answer the phone because they did fill out a form saying they're interested. They put their number on there and they were expecting a call. Now, depending on how aged you buy them, and you can buy them from our website if you'd like to, totalinsurancmarketing.com, and click get leads. You can get them there. With these leads, it can depend on how aged you're wanting to get them and how cheap you're wanting to get them. Our site has them relatively not aged, which is good. So we're trying to get you the fresher stuff, the stuff that's, within the last year or so. And all you're doing on these guys is, they're warm calls. They're a little bit better than your cold calls. They're super inexpensive, $1 or so. And you can get a ton of them really cheaply. And you're going to spend some time making the phone calls, talking to these folks, re-engaging them, asking them what prompted them to fill out this form and say that they were interested, whether they took care of it then or not. Maybe prices have come down in your area or new carriers have been introduced, or maybe they had filled out a form and State Farm called them, sold them a policy, and it's super duper expensive. Not to hate on the State Farm guys, but there are cheaper final expense companies out there, and I'm sure you're aware. So if that's your marketplace, aged leads are a good fit for the agents that have a lower budget and are willing to spend, a couple hours on the phone setting their own appointments. Those are terrific. There's also direct mail. This is what I consider the cash cow phase of the business. They're definitely still out there. However, it's not in growth mode. It's not the most profitable anymore, and that's for two reasons. One, postage costs have increased significantly. It used to be you could, for $300 send out 1,000-piece mailer. Now it's $400 and $500. The other thing that happened is the response rate used to be 2, 3, 4, 5%, and now it's 1% or less sometimes. So you're paying all this money for $50 to $70 leads, and they're just a lead. You may contact them, you may not. You may knock on their door, they may answer, they may not. At the end of the day, it's still a lead, and now we're talking about super expensive leads. So the low response rate and the higher costs of mailers have made these less desirable. There's definitely still a significant amount of agents, especially experienced agents, that are going out there and selling these final expense policies to people that send out a mailer. The thing I like about the direct mail leads is that you have a physical piece of paper that they usually wrote their name or signed their name on. And now when you go back out there, you can say, Mr. Client, you signed this piece of paper. That's why I'm out here, is to go over your options with you. This is going to be a good fit for you. And these are the reasons why it's valuable and what's your budget. And I'm going to fit it in your budget. So super duper easy when you've got that physical piece of paper reminding them that they are interested in this and they did fill it out, and that's why you're out there. So that's my favorite part about those final expense leads, is it gets you in the door sometimes, even if you're just door knocking them with that piece of paper. So on the opposite end of the spectrum, they're a little bit more expensive. So they're definitely for the experienced agent or someone that's coming into this career with a bankroll and wanting some immediate appointments and wanting some immediate experience. So that's kind of how the direct market fits in. There's also internet leads, and these can be real time, so not necessarily age, and they can be exclusive or shared. Now, obviously, if you're sharing them, you've got 3 or 5 other agents calling them at the exact same time, but now you're splitting the costs. Or if you're getting them exclusive, I mean, they still could have put 123 Mickey Mouse Street on there. So you're paying for the exclusivity on that, and it gets a little bit more expensive. And you can do that either shared and compete with a number of agents, which is fine if you're in an area that there's not a ton of independent brokers that are able to shop and get a better price and that sort of stuff, or really charismatic agents that might be able to scoot you out just with their charisma and personality and being able to be knowledgeable and professional in front of the client. So if you're not worried about that stuff, it's okay to get the cheaper shared leads and kind of fight over, price, but then know that this person's probably going to be called 5 times that day. So if you're not wanting that fight, my favorite in this marketplace is going to be the telemarketed final expense leads. And we have these available on our website for agents because it is our favorite, and they are working out to be the most profitable line of business in the final expense marketplace. These things go for approximately $15. If you're buying in bulk, they can be a little bit cheaper, but that's about their true cost of doing these things. So we've got an in-house team of people that calls around and says, hey, are you interested in getting more information on burial insurance, $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 for you and your spouse? Okay, we'll have an agent give you a call back tomorrow and give you more details. Would tomorrow morning or afternoon or evening work best for you? Okay, he's going to give you, a call as a reminder that we spoke today. What's your favorite color? And he'll just remind you of that blue. Okay, great. And so you're calling the next day and saying, hey, I'm the specialist. I'd like to, on burial insurance, on final expense, I'd like to give you more information on that. And you can do it and sell them right over the phone. Or if you'd like to give them, one or two tidbits of information, we have guaranteed issue plans. So everybody that's healthy or unhealthy, there's a plan for them. There's new lower rates in our area, whatever it is, and then request the appointment for tomorrow to go over the pricing with them. And you can come up with, well, we do a little bit of field underwriting to make sure that you're not using oxygen or a cane or anything like that. And that's the reason we need to come out and see and go over that. So those are probably my favorite because they are lower cost at 15 versus the internet, even the real time, they're going to be 20 and some dollar leads otherwise. And if they're not that expensive, you got to understand that they're probably shared with a bunch of other agents, and that's how they get their costs down. So even if you sell a policy this month, is it going to be replaced next month? Versus the age stuff, because you're spending a ton of time and energy. So if you're trying to write policies and do a significant amount of business, you're going to want to be talking to people that are interested today. And the age leads, you've got to re-engage their interest and spend a significant amount of phone time doing that. And then the direct mail, like I mentioned, those are great for the super experienced agents that are willing to just knock on every door for every lead that they get and are willing to spend the 50 some odd dollars. But as far as the telemarketed leads, again, $15 or so a lead. They're great. They're working out terrific. We do them here in our local market, but we also help people out nationally. And so these telemarketers call around all over the parts of the country. So you're able to specify the zip codes or the counties that you're wanting these things in. To skip over and kind of go over that, when you're setting the appointment and going out there and meeting with these folks, there's a number of things that you need to do on the final expense realm. So that's kind of the lead generation. You get to pick your favorite. Maybe you are a super experienced agent that wants to knock on every door and you've got a little bit of a bankroll, or maybe you're a brand new agent and don't have enough money for, $15 leads and you got to buy the dollar leads and just, spend some phone time on there. Whatever your deal is, if you're setting appointments on the phone or going over these guys face to face, I apologize, I'm definitely going over my 10 minutes here. You're going to want to have a number of good carriers. We've got a bunch on our website, totalinsurancmarketing.com. You can click get contracted and see a number of good carriers. We recommend Mutual of Omaha, Occidental, and there's a few other niches that you're going to want as well. So feel free to call in and ask us which ones are going to be appropriate for the guaranteed issue whole life. And there are some that don't reduce compensation for those folks, which is great for agents, and you're still getting great pricing for the clients as well. So it's good to have a number of carriers and kind of have a fit for healthy and unhealthy folks, because you're going to meet some of both. When you're meeting with these folks, they're going to be older, so some of them are going to be on medication, some of them are going to be a little bit slower to speak. So have that chameleon personality so that you have some rapport built with the client and they know that you're engaged with them. Some of them are going to be on medications that you're not going to heard of, that aren't in the agent guide. We're going to give you some tips and tricks if you call in to help you overcome some of the stuff that you're not aware of initially on the phone or in person, or you're going to need help doing case designs. And if you haven't watched our video on fact finding, definitely take a look at that. Some tips on this marketplace is, we ran an appointment 2 weeks ago and met a lady that had, a $20,000 policy and then three $10,000 policies, and had $50,000 worth and was paying about $600 on a monthly basis. This is a good final expense client. And she thought I was coming out there to sell her another 10,000. And she goes, Tim, I got 50,000 of this stuff. And, when we start going into it, her goal is really to leave 100,000. But she keeps buying these 10,000 at a time from agents that keep coming out to her house. And so when we took a look at it, we decided simplified issue whole life is not quite as cost effective as maybe a guaranteed universal life policy would be, and we'll guarantee it out to age 120, so it's not going to lapse on her. And for the cost per thousand is significantly reduced when we do stuff like that. And she was healthy enough to go through the full underwriting that's required of those type of policies. And some of those policies don't require fully underwritten. There are simplified issue GUL policies out there. So sometimes when you're working with us on case design, we're going to give you some of these ideas. The other thing that we want to give you as a tip when you're going out there is, sometimes you'll meet people that have two policies that were 20,000 each and they bought them 20 years ago. Well, there's a significant amount of cash value in those. If we can roll that over into something, it'll reduce premiums on a new policy, especially if they're trying to increase the coverage, because most of these folks are looking at more stuff. So we do have, guaranteed issue carriers are going to write healthy and unhealthy folks, which is a big plus for you. We've got some tips and tricks on, moving some of that cash value. There are some really cool final expense policies that get wrapped up in trusts. So we've got good ideas on that side of the world for you. But it's important to have a bag of carriers and the knowledge of all these carriers to really fit into what you're actually talking to people on the phone when you're doing closing appointments, or if you're doing face-to-face appointments, that you've got the experience, knowledge, and carriers in your bag so that you can write these folks when they're looking at it, or that you're working with a marketing company that's going to be able to help you do some of this case design or do the product knowledge that you're going to need, and go over the e-applications for you. So we go over most of the applications and carrier processes on our website in these different videos. The final expense marketplace, just to recap, you're going to find unhealthy people that are going to need coverage, and healthy people that need coverage. But you're also going to find wealthy clients that have $1 million that say, the money in my checking account is going to be enough. Well, I don't need to buy this insurance. And you go, well, maybe, but maybe this is going to get tied into your house and it's going to go to probate, and then the state's going to decide who it's going to after all that. So if you don't want your beneficiaries to get this money in 6 months or 18 months when the funeral services are requesting payment in 3 days, you may want a policy. When you're talking about this stuff and you're doing an in-home presentation, I always like to bring up single premium life first. And there's a couple of reasons to that. One, the people that can afford it, and they say, okay, well, give me $20,000 of coverage. And you say, okay, give me $16,000 or whatever it is. And you can run a quick single premium quote. And then they go, oh, I can just turn 16,000 into 20. And you're like, yeah. And you don't have to worry about investment risk, whatever the market does. You don't have to worry about this. This pays immediately upon your death. It goes tax-free to your beneficiaries. You can do a split on the beneficiaries, primary and contingent, however you'd like to do. And we can get it all set up for you today. And so the wealthy people are going to love hearing that. And the unwealthy people are going to know that it's going to take about approximately $16,000 if they want a $20,000 policy. They just may pay it over 16 or 20 years, and now it's $1,000 a year, or $100 a month, or whatever that amounts to. So they get a little bit better feel of this is not just a monthly price. And then it's important to know and have quoting tools available so you can quote multiple companies, but it's also important to have your top 2 or 3 or 4. One, because you're going to learn those products and the ins and outs of those way better. If you are in tune with those products and know the ins and outs, you're going to be a more efficient salesperson. You're going to be able to hit their carrier trips if they're doing trips based on production with that sort of stuff. So number of reasons you're going to want your handful of really prominent carriers that you learn everything about, and then kind of a big bag of carriers that you can shop around with if you have to. But I definitely don't recommend that you get 100 different carriers and then sell for 2 or 3. The issue with that is, one, you're spending way too much time of your time and the marketing company's time contracting with all these carriers. 2, they're just going to terminate you for non-production in a year, 18 months, or whatever their guidelines are. And 3, you can't memorize 100 carriers. I can't memorize 100 carriers, even though I certainly try some days. So It's good to have that and have that in your back pocket. Again, we're here to help you. This is the quick tutorial on final expense. We'll give you some more tips and tricks in future videos. Just wanted to give a quick shout out and say we appreciate you guys working with us, sharing our videos. Again, we've got an awesome website. We've got a team of marketers. You can call in at 800-827-5110, or you can visit us at totalinsurancmarketing.com. You can see the carriers that are good to represent on that site, as well as the lead options that are available for both the aged leads and the telemarketed leads that I had mentioned earlier. So thanks for watching. I hope you found this video useful. Please share with your agent friends, and we will see you soon. Thanks.